Hi, everyone. It's time for Saturday Stories with Miss Sharon. Hello, and happy Saturday. Last week, we read a story about Jesus having dinner with Simon and forgiving a woman with many sins. Today, we're going to read about a time Jesus taught about giving in our Spark Story Bible. Do you know what a widow is? A widow is a woman whose husband has passed away and she hasn't remarried. Let's listen and find out what happens in this story called The Widow's Offering. Jesus sat down outside the temple and taught the disciples about how to share. Do you see that rich man in fancy robes? Jesus asked the disciples. They looked around and they saw him. He twirled his robes when he saw that they were watching him. I must be very special, thought the rich man. The man in fancy robes stopped in front of a money box outside the temple. He slowly reached into his money purse and pulled out several coins. One by one, he held them up to the sun so they would be flashing for all to see. "It's time for me to give to the poor," he said loudly. The coins made a loud clang as he dropped them in the money box. Now Jesus asked the disciples another question. "Do you see that poor old widow?" Jesus whispered the question because he didn't want to scare her. She looked this way and that. She tried to hide in the crowd. She bent over the money box. Clink, clink. Her two tiny coins barely made a sound as she dropped them in. The old woman reached into her pocket. It was empty. Quietly, the poor woman shuffled away. "Did you notice?" asked Jesus. "The man in the fancy robes gave just a little of his riches, and he showed off a lot. The widow gave only 2 coins that she had and kept quiet about it. She shared everything. She is the one who gave the most. This is how I want you to share." Do you ever bring coins to church? This is a great story about giving what you can. It's a good feeling to give joyfully. In the Bible, in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7, it says, "So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver." We shouldn't brag or boast about our giving like the man did in the fancy robes. We should give cheerfully with a happy heart as God calls us to. Don't forget, you can read this story in the book of Mark, chapter 12, in your family's Bible. I'll see you next week.